Paramount Global will step into the spotlight tomorrow before the bell when it reports its fourth quarter earnings. Investors appearing bullish during today's session, with shares ending the day, as you can see, up more than 9%. But earnings aren't the only reason Paramount is seeing more attention. A new book titled Unscripted, The Epic Battle for a Media Empire and the Redstone Family Legacy hit shelves yesterday and takes a deep dive into the behind-the-scenes drama that threatened the future of Paramount Global. One of the book's authors and New York Times columnist James Stewart joins us now alongside Allie. Good to see you, Allie. Yes. This is such an incredible story.
It's incredible.
I mean, it is just, it's delicious. Let's start with the focus, Sumner Redstone. For those that aren't really familiar with the story, sir, how would you describe him in a minute or two?
Well, Sumner Redstone at his peak was one of the most, if not the most powerful media mogul in the world. He was maybe, I won't say the last, we still have the Murdochs out there, but he's the late in a long line of extremely powerful media executives. And he built this company from 2 drive-in theaters outside of Boston. So into a multi-billion-dollar company that owned CBS, Paramount, the Viacom channels, MTV, Comedy Central, Nickelodeon, you name it. It was a very big and powerful media empire.
But that makes him sound like almost an admirable figure, not the guy I'm reading about here. Tell me about the other side.
Well, he was brilliant and he was competitive, and he was, look, I'm not a psychologist, but he had so many insecurities, so many bizarre personal qualities. His, insatiable competitive streak against even his own children. He drove them both away at various points. His insatiable appetite for sex, for young women, for throwing money at them is like nothing I've ever encountered or experienced, nor did I ever think I would be writing. But I think somebody said this is a business book that made me blush, and I was thinking, whatever. These are the facts.
Yeah, and clearly, as you write about in the book, this company has dealt with a lot of mismanagement. But Sherry Redstone, she has doubled down that the leadership team that Paramount has today is as strong as it could ever be. 1, do you agree with that? And 2, does it even matter? Is this company too behind in the streaming wars at this point?
Well, I think Sherry deserves a lot of credit. I mean, as you see in the story, she overcame one obstacle after another to take control of this, to merge the 2 companies. I think almost everyone agrees that made sense, that Viacom and CBS, now Paramount Global, needed greater scale. They probably need even greater scale than they have, but they needed it. They probably needed it sooner. And so she was right to do that. She hired a new chief executive after, Sumner was, blind to the faults of Philippe Domont, Viacom, Les Moonves at CBS. I mean, he let them run it as they saw fit, which of course is why they didn't want to give it up. But they now have Bob Bakish there. And, I have to give her credit. The stock collapsed along with most of the streaming companies. It's been coming back, but they have some real hits. They've got Yellowstone. They had Top Gun, Maverick, which was a mega hit this summer. So there's a lot of good stuff happening there. But I think, it's a scale business. The companies are spending billions on content. You've got to amortize that over a large subscriber base. The bigger, the better. And they're running up against, Amazon, Netflix, Disney Plus, and they're in a second or third tier compared to that.
So with that, where do you think Paramount goes from here, especially in terms of M&A? We saw Warren Buffett up his stake in the company today. We got that news. Could he be a potential buyer? Are there other buyers out there? Where do you see this going?
Well, I think it has to go with someone bigger, I think. And, it is interesting. They do have what Sumner Redstone always considered his crown jewel, which is the Paramount studio. Netflix, for example, does not own a studio. Amazon bought MGM. Disney obviously has the Disney studio. That would seem to be a kind of obvious pairing if it could get by the regulators, which is a big if. I think a big obstacle is that the stock price was so depressed. It got down to $15. And Sherry, if effectively the controlling shareholder, is not going to sell anyone at that price. But she has said repeatedly to many people that she would sell it at the right price. She's not determined to cling to mogul status no matter what.
The Sumner I read about in Unscripted is I'm just going to say, despicable and loathsome character. Do those around him, did they feel any love? Did they feel any respect for him, or neither?
Well, he was pretty much surrounded by a crowd of grifters, in my opinion. Some of them were the women, some of them were the professionals, the lawyers, the advisors. I think one of the shocking things here is that someone that rich, a billionaire many times over, you would think would have guardrails, that would have the highest level professionals protecting him. And yet, these women were able to move into his mansion and virtually take control of his life, not to mention his bank accounts, his trust accounts, his will. They made off with over $150 million. In one afternoon, he wired them $90 million. And, who's there to protect him? I think it's an appalling failure.